This is Jim Wyatt from the Tennessean, joined by new Titans coach Ken Whisenhunt. Ken, welcome to town. I appreciate you stopping by the Tennessean here today.
Thanks, Jim.
How first month on the job? How things going so far?
A little cold. Yeah. A little colder than I expected, but other than that, it's good. You know, every day is a different day. New issues, new challenges pop up, but I'm really impressed with how the organization itself has been adapting and handling those. I'm really excited about our coaching staff. I can't wait to meet the players. That's the hardest thing, is not getting a chance to spend the time with them, but that'll be here quick enough.
Well, and you've built a coaching staff. You know, you got your offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, you rounded out the staff. What is next for you, and what's the day like for Ken Whisenhunt now leading up to the combine next week?
Well, right now the mornings are spent really doing a little prep work on college players. We've got the combine coming up next week, so you'd like to have a little bit of advanced information on them, so you know kind of areas that you're looking for, areas that we potentially target as needs, and then what you're going to be seeing on the field. And then afternoon is spent a lot on free agency, NFL free agency, because that's coming up here in less than a month. So, trying to look at free agents and see kind of where we think we have needs or potentially guys that we want to get more information on, just so we'll be prepared. And then with all that too, we're working on our playbooks, just getting all that assembled, so we'll have something that we can present to the players when they get in here in April.
As you looked at film of 2013, what do you think the biggest needs are for this team, and what kind of has jumped out at you on tape as far as areas that you think you need to address?
I think overall we've got to improve the depth of the football team. I think one of the things that's really happened in NFL these days is you get a couple of injuries and all of a sudden it can compromise your season. It seems like that's happened with a number of teams. So I like what I've seen. We've got a good core group of guys. I think you're always looking to try to get better. You don't want to talk specifically about needs because you don't want to give up your strategy. And it's kind of a twofold strategy because you're balancing draft versus free agency and how you're going to address those needs. So we may have an area that we're going to target in both and then wait and see which we get first. So I feel just as a basis for where we are as a football team, I feel good about that. I think we got some good football players, some good young football players. Now there's a few positions that we have to play better, and that's what we're going to work on getting started this spring. But we'll be excited about how we build the team going forward and the methods that we do it, whether it's free agency or through the draft.
And in your last stint as a head coach, you took an Arizona franchise that had really, I think it was 11 straight losing seasons before you got there. And it wasn't long before that team was in the playoffs and in a Super Bowl. I mean, how far away is this team from getting to that level, and what has to be done, I guess, to keep the team there?
We're undefeated right now, so that's a good start. I think I'll never concede the fact or make a concession that our goal is not to be there this year. So, I saw last year in San Diego a team that a lot of people thought wasn't going to be in contention, and all of a sudden we're playing in the divisional round of the playoffs. Won a wild card game and playing in the divisional round, and when that happens, you're 2 games from the Super Bowl. So, I think our focus has got to be on improving in a number of areas, playing better as a team, not so much a major overhaul of the team as it is playing better. And then what I really want to do is get a home playoff game. I want to win the division, be competitive in the division to get a home playoff game, because I think it's important to our fans and to the city, and that to me is a key component of our team.
Yeah, I know a lot of fans, there's a question you've probably gotten the most since you've been here about 2 players, Jake Locker and Chris Johnson. Have you had a chance to see those? Have you had a chance to watch those guys much? And what do you think about Jake Locker as your quarterback moving forward, and does Chris Johnson have a place on this roster as well?
Well, we've looked at both players on tape. Jake obviously not as many snaps as CJ just because of his injury last year. A lot of things I'm encouraged about with Jake. It's very hard to say a lot because you find out so much about players when you sit in the meeting room with them, when you go through things on the practice field. But I'm very encouraged with what I saw in how he played last year before he was injured. And then in my discussions with him, I know he has the kind of mentality that I like, that we're looking for. CJ, you know, I have a lot of respect for him as a football player and what he's done in this league. He's a talented football player, and I think you know, that process is something. We're in no hurry. There's no deadline. We don't have to make any decision right now. I mean, we're in the process of building our team, and there's a lot of factors that go into that. So, you know, right now, nothing like that. No decisions are going to be made where we are right now, and we'll see how it all comes together as we go forward.
And you hear people that followed Ken Whisenhunt's career know he was at Vanderbilt as an assistant coach in the mid-'90s. I mean, how much has Nashville changed since your last stint here, and did you ever think you'd be back in this city when you left?
Well, you know, I think you hope. I mean, this is, my kids have said this is their favorite place that we've been. It felt like home for us. So we're excited to be back. I don't think that you could ever say, we'll be back, or God, we'd love to be back. I think you can dream. So we're excited to be back here. I think if I had to describe Nashville now as opposed to when I was here, it looks like somebody set off a people bomb. There's a lot more people in this area. I mean, it's grown. You know, there's a lot of areas that have grown around, and there's a lot of things that I hear about, you know, vibrant areas of the city. But I've always loved this city. I'm glad to be back here and looking forward to being a part of this community.
And you mentioned the Combine, which you head to next week in Indianapolis. How's the Combine for you as a head coach as opposed to maybe an offensive coordinator like you were in San Diego? Is it different responsibilities, and I imagine you and Rustin Webster will be, you know, meeting a lot leading up to the Combine, after the Combine, and what happens in Indianapolis for you?
Well, you know, it's really kind of split down the middle as far as a week long, from offense the first part and defense the back half. So when you're a head coach, I get to spend an extra few days in Indianapolis, which I'm just really looking forward to that. But you know, I think you're looking at a lot more things as a head coach, and as opposed to just the offense or just the defense. And so you've got to do a little bit more prep work, because you don't want to go in there just seeing a player for the first time. And that's not always easy, because you have so many more that you're looking at. So, you know, that's where having Rustin in our relationship is so great, because, you know, he and his scouts have put in so much work on that he can lean over and say to me, you know, this is a guy where we think he stacks up, you know, something that we may have an interest in. And I really appreciate that, because it helps educate me.
And I guess the last thing before we let you go here is the draft. I know a couple of months away, but since you're in studio, you know, give us a hint on maybe who the first round pick's going to be in May?
It won't be a kicker.
Yeah.
that I can tell you. You know, I don't know. I think, you know, Rustin is and I have not really talked much about that. I think there's a lot of information that we've got to acquire before going there. But I'm sure that we'll pick somebody that we'll be excited about.
Well, we appreciate you joining us here. This is Jim Wyatt from the Tennessean, wrapping it up with new Titans coach Ken Whisenhunt. You'll be seeing a lot of this guy here and reading a lot about him in the Tennessean over the next several years. So thank you, Ken, for stopping by.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.